Life, a miracle in the universe, appeared around 4 billion years ago. And we humans, only 200,000 years ago. Yet we have succeeded in disrupting the balance that is so essential to life. In 50 years, in a single lifetime, the Earth has been more radically changed than by all previous generations of humanity. We know that the solutions are there today. We all have the power to change. So what are we waiting for?
Very good afternoon and namaskar. So I'm sure first when you have seen this short clip of the world that we live in today, from the world it started, definitely looks like a story. I am Abhilash and I will be taking your session on geography optional. So today we are here together to understand how and why should I take this optional geography, and do I have some geography in me, whether it will be the one mastered optional or the route to which I can crack the UPSC final list and see my name in. I'm not just taking the methodology of qualifying a prelim or qualifying the mains or getting into an interview. I'm here talking about getting into the list of qualified candidates. So with this, when we start today's session will be an hour session mostly, and I will be communicating in English for the reason that this will be the medium of language to give the exam. Second, uh, as we are online and we need to be on hands with various verbos, various terminology when we are talking about geography, this language of communication helps. Now, let's start this session. The today's session plan, I would say that I started with a video clip to entice you into the world, the planet, the home. We call it as our home we live in and what we have done it today. Second, I will take you through some basic traits, qualities. If you find it in yourself, you might just feel that this, among various optionals which are available of the UPSC, this might be the one which basically can take you to the to complete your journey. As it has been seen that UPSC has people from all backgrounds, that is technical and non-technical, coming and giving this exam. They are open to choose any optional of their choice. And mostly all of us who think of optional, the first thing we look at it is which, how many people have actually, or the toppers, which optional do they have. It seems that's the easiest option. It seems that they've scored well in that, so everybody can score well in that. And that way, that's how we perceive things. But let me tell you this while training many candidates the last 10 years, one thing that I have seen, that everyone, each person who is giving this exam has or his and her own experience. It's a individual experience. They go through it. So while yes, the motivational articles of toppers do influence, but the power to make a choice and an informed choice, it's still with you. Which optional is going to be that one which will help you crack it? So today, let's actually demystify that way of looking at the uh, options. And I will try to be very, very practical. It's not like that because I am going to teach geography, so maybe that I am going to highlight it as the only one thing to take. No, we are currently in a world where the having an informed choice helps you take a good decision, and maintaining on your own decision throughout this journey is where you can see the result come. So let's see how do I take it, and we'll have your feedback later. So some qualities I would like to start the session with, qualities which are some characteristic traits, and you need to answer yourself, do you have it or you don't have it? So the first quality is stories. Do stories stimulate you? Do you identify that if something is taught to you or told to you in a story medium, it looks appealing to you? Is that quality with you? Next quality is in your CV or in your detailed application form where the hobbies are written. Will you ever mention traveling? Do you tell people when you ice break with people that what are your likes and dislikes? Do you use the word traveling? And here I don't mean traveling for your regular daily affairs. Even if you don't travel to destinations, do you feel that going on roads, seeing the world excites you? If that is one thing, that trait is there within you. You may just agree and disagree. Second is, do you have the power of imagination? If you close your eyes and see that you're flying, can you actually believe that you're flying? Can you imagine that you're flying? You are in the space. Do you have that kind of a trait? You need to answer yourself. Power of observation. So if you see something, do you actually take a moment to think around it? That what's happening, why it's happening, what could it mean, from where has it come, why has it come, how can we go more ahead? It some observational skills. That do you take it in your daily regular life? Do you have use it? Visualization. Now, for example, I say, let's imagine Mumbai. So, what is the first photo that comes in your brain? Does it the Gateway of India comes into thing, or the Taj Hotel comes, or the BSC Sensex comes, or Film World comes, or Sachin Tendulkar comes? So, are you able to? I mean, your brain flashes you some memories as a visualization. That if I put a word, what is the first picture that comes in your brain? And let me tell you, I know while I'm trying to tell you whether yes or no, this will be a yes for all because our memories are stored as a visual picture, right? So I think everybody has observed it. So, but still, you can ask whether you like visualizing things when you hear something new, or does it your brain analyzes immediately? Second is, or the last one is empathy. You can see the photo, you can see those brick, it's a brick kiln worker, somebody who is working, and there is a statement written 21 million people in forced labor. So when you see something like this, can you be in that space of that person? who is going through that hardship? Can you empathize? Do you have that kind of sense with? So I will take through the journey again. The most biggest keyword is empathy, visualization, observation, imagination, traveling, and story. If all these things appeal to you, then we can say this, that your journey for not just the UPSC exam, but also for becoming a successful person in service or in your own service or some other service is absolutely, you are a prepared mind, you are ready for it. But why did I name these traits? Because what happens is we are here for a purpose, that we have to crack UPSC examination, and I should use that particular tool with me. If I don't have the right tool, I am not going to actually get the right effect. So these are some tools or characteristics, traits. If you have within you, you will be able to just utilize them in understanding a subject like geography and getting the best of the scores and getting a best of the, everything in record. If you start just enjoying it the way I mentioned with the keywords, any moment you feel like you are forcefully doing something, let me tell you, if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to reap the benefit of it. It will stay forced. You may crack the exam, definitely, but the world is beyond this subject, and we are trying to learn from our own world and understand the subject. Okay, so now let me go to the question which all of us are trying to uh, uh, clarify, and that's why geography for UPSC should be your subject of choice. Now, this I would want you to take from a perspective of, basically, you know, uh, you may like it, you may not like it, you may not be convinced with the perspective that I put in. So, but if you don't like it, just mention us, mail me, or come back, connect to us, that these are the reason I don't like to be there. But this observation is coming from many people who have taken this subject. They are engineers, they are non-engineers, non-geographical backgrounds. People just have taken the examination. So it is coming from a lot of people's common observation. It is not just this. Number one, it has vast amount of information, both online and offline available. So information, access to information is easy. Number two, it's less time consuming. Okay, now this is very tricky. When we see the syllabus portion, you'll see that's a huge syllabus, but then I'm trying to say that it's less time consuming. It's very simple. The first five traits that I told you, if you have them, you'll suddenly start getting into the things. And I am going to share an activity today at the end of the session that you may just know whether you are fit for this or not. Again, we know that optional is one part and GS is the biggest chunk which decides most of the, or which takes most of the preparation time. So geography has a good uh, synergy with GS, and there's a whole lot of impact with it. And I'll tell you a story about it as well. Connected to other subjects. That is, when I try to learn geography, I learn about environment, I learn about economy, I learn about ecology, I learn about sociology, I learn about human, I learn about scientific approach, I learn about technological approach, and I learn multivarious thing which makes it a general kind of a general standard kind of or general subject, GS kind of a this thing, which helps me to connect things and remember, recall, and write it in the question paper, answer paper when the exam happens. So that's one thing. Now I have a story for this. Basically, Today, when when in common houses, when they ask what do you want to become, so there are two. Generally, people say there are only two streams. One is doctor, another is engineer. Very general. I'm talking in a very general way. Some 500-600 years back, there were only two streams. One was history, one was geography. Now, these two streams from the ancient European times, I would rather go from the because the subject Geographia Generalis or subject as a geography is derived from or whatever we are learning is learning from the European pedagogy. So we'll have to think from that perspective. Uh, I don't want you to confuse with the Indian ancient times right away because then again we will go back to uh, the supreme intelligence documents we have with us. But let's focus from the European way because that is how this subject demands us to be. So, in the ancient history of European history, there were only two career choices. One was to either take history for education or other to go for geography. Now, you will appreciate the fact that with geography, one has to look at the space, you know, space, what is visible to you right away. Then take the timeline to go back, the historical chart to go back. If today it is looking like this, what was it looking some years back? And how will it be look some years ahead? So space travel is what geography allows. Second, now let's go how depth. In geography, what happened? The entire subject we have to study in two aspects. Number one aspect is you talk from the nature's aspect, that is naturalist approach, that nature existed before and then with all the evolution came the human. Second approach is humanistic approach, that is I am the center and I can see this, and with me as the standard center, I'm going to look and evaluate things. What is there for the human? Now please tell me that. Can I travel? Can I is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? Is it livable? It is not livable. Clean water, dirty water, all these elements which you call as climate or a weather, we owe all a lot of terminologies. So that became the humanistic way of looking at it, human approach. Similarly, once you come to the human part of it, then you come to the human, entire human element. Slowly, one subject was derived. One, people who were talking about only the geographical features or species, they were called as geology. People who were talking about natural nature, the ecology, environment studies, then human studies. Human studies also was for medical side of it, medical studies. Okay, medical line also came from here. Then from that came economic side of it because human we are living means we'll do some human and economic activity, buy sell, something will happen. Somehow it had to have started, even if it was barter. So economic human was not just a human natural man. He was human was an economic man. What is there for me? Will I gain something? Will I lose something? With that started economic process. Economic process progressed with scientific process. Now science came as a picture to it, defining or redefining the things. The mythological theories of gods were now changed into scientific perspective of having facts and figures and numbers came mathematics, which tried to stitch every evaluation. So if I keep on telling, then you'll understand that the world of subjects that we see, even in your optional, will be derived from geography. And that is the reason why, if you have that kind of approach in your own way of looking at things, this optional makes it more interesting at every time zone. So, see, everything has their plus and minuses. So if your approach towards life is not like that, then you may not just like the vast information. It becomes an headache. Second, when it comes to scoring, the world geography part of it, when we know about the world, we come to know that it is really, really interesting, basically. And I can give you an example. If you watch movies, uh, there's a secret to James Bond movies. You try to check James Bond movie storyline. So they will have a sci-fi, that is science fiction kind of an approach, and then the entire James Bond movie is a visual treat. They go to different geographies. Just check it once. All the James Bond series, which you can see in the last 15 years, just check that. You'll realize that they have taken you around the globe. Sometime in desert, sometime in snow, sometime in urban town, sometime in some isolated places, islands, lot of geography. The entire story backdrop is around geography. So the world geography becomes very interesting because it's really practical. You can visualize, you can just write a good answer around it, and which will be onto the topic. And when you write something onto the topic, you get very good scores as well. Now, when it comes to scores, we will have another discussion on how UPSC will evaluates it. But today, while we're introducing the topic, we'll refrain from going that part because you are yet to take a confirmed step. Let's go to the next. Let's understand the syllabus. So, you know, uh, in fact, I can tell you this. It is divided into physical, human, and Indian geography, and it has two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 2 is exclusively Indian geography, and when we talk of physical geography, it has topics like geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, and which are very static in nature. And then there are some dynamic topics, like I told about the economy. And then human geography, as there's some theoretical approach also, like geographers also wanted to be like a science, so they had models, they had laws, and we will go through it. And this is the space where it might look little dry. But before that, I would also want you to uh, have a look at the paper 1 and paper 2 syllabus. So what I'll do is I'll just scroll through it, read some terminologies just for your sake, and you don't need to be scared about it, because if you have to read it, you have to read it. And which is looking strange now will become familiar in some times. Geomorphology, the first part, is basically is uh, is a subject which deals with you know development of landforms, all the geographical morpho, that is features. Logy means science, geographical feature science on that kind of elements. So it will talk about landforms, mountain building, all that kind of stories. Then comes climatology, which is about the earth weather, temperature, pressure, air circulation, rains, all the climatological elements. Then understanding the ocean, we'll understand the ocean bottoms, all that element, geography, ecology of ocean, resources at ocean. Then biogeography, that is which is relevant for our living. We will read about soils, wildlife, gene pools, distribution of plants and animals. Then environmental geography, which I already mentioned about ecology, and I'm sure every one of you is aware. Then comes human geography. Basically, it is about the perspective, as I mentioned, the humanistic approach centered towards what human looks at the world like, from the economic aspect, from the industry aspect, from the population and settlement aspect, from regional planning, town planning, city planning, all those models. So if you are pretty much interested in all this, you'll enjoy this. I observe it, compare it, and maybe realize it the way I've seen. I'm a part of all this. Then paper 2, we have geography of India, which is purely talking about all those elements which we spoke earlier from the Indian perspective: the physical setting, the resource, the agriculture, the industry, transport, communication, etc. The cultural setting, the settlements. Basically, paper two is what actually helps you to have maximum element of influence in the GS papers as well, because about it's all about India. So the best way whether to know you like this subject or not, or is there some kind of liking, then let's come straight to the objective. Why are we reading this subject, or why should I take this option? Just I want to crack this examination. So let's just read few questions from uh, question paper, mains question paper. These are mains question paper, and let's see without reading the topic, with just what you are today. Do you have any idea or no idea? Let's read the first question. That is, describe phreatic eruptions and their consequences. Now, phreatic term itself looks at something which I don't know, and eruptions, which means that there is some blasting and consequences. So it should be something related to volcano or something like that. What else does blast in the geographic world? So maybe, so that if I had known the terminology, I would have just written it. It would have become a simpler question. Second question says, explain the techniques of to calculate potential evapotranspiration suggested by Thornthwaite. So now this is a scientist name. He has told something. So as we know, what has Newton's law mentioned or all that kind of thing. When we know Thornthwaite, we will be able to just know it. Now I don't know, so it's a pretty direct question. Second is, how are sand spits and tombolos different? Again, there are two terminologies. If I'm aware about sand spits and tombolos, I will just write about it. Though it is just a 1 20 minutes reading to make myself aware. Okay, this means sea feature and sea sand dunes, and it is just the moment I know the terminology, I'll just write it. And these are for this first question. First, this thing as asking for 150 words. That is around one pager answer. So then amensalism is a biotic factor that determines the geographic limits of species. Now again, this talks about a terminology. If I am aware of the terminology, I can. It is a biogeographical stuff, and I can write it. If I'm not aware, even if I've read the entire syllabus, I am not aware of the terminology, I'll not be able to write it. So that's how the paper will become tough to me. How do mountaineers constitute a threat to mountain Everest? Now, this is a question where you can write an essay. It's asking mountaineers constitute a threat to mountain Everest. What will mountaineer do, basically? The biggest threat will be ecological threat, because they take with them all the plastics and all this thing which is not decomposable, and they create pollution at the Everest base. That is one. The biggest threat is there, because that is going to stay there as waste, and you can sketch the entire story around ecological preservation and things. So now that question looks easy, at least to me. Second question, why is it necessary to conserve genetic diversity of species? Do protected areas serve any useful purpose in this context? So it is talking about a question that should many species, like different kind of animals, why it is necessary in a world or in ecology to survive with them. And protected area, while it looks like a simple statement, but it is a part of standard terminology of we have parks, sanctuaries, protected areas by government, basically. So so if you are aware of it, you can easily write it. Compare and contrast different types of plate boundaries. Now this is one very easiest of the questions, uh, because once you know geomorphology, you will understand there are only three types of plate boundaries, and you will just have to compare it and write it. It's a very standard question. Explain the nature of urban climates and their impact on global environmental change. Now, Come on, now this question I'm sure you must be writing an essay from class 5th onwards. Now comes the third question. Discuss in detail the tricellular model of atmospheric circulation. All of you have given 10th class. I'm sure. So once you have given 10th class, you know about atmosphere, layers of atmosphere, and what is the circulation. You might not recall it, but you can just have some visual imagination that, okay, this is what it is there. Once you read it, it's one of the, uh, you know, see, this is actually happening somewhere. And we are just writing that observation in a note. So it's not something out of the world, it's absolutely in the world. So once you learn it, you will be able to write it. But I'm sure ninth, 10th class, you would all have read it. How are soil acidity and alkalinity related to soil fertility? Again, this is a very, very acidity, alkalinity, people who are science background, even in ninth class, 10th class, acidity chemistry was when it was introduced, chemistry about soils. So this was introduced. You can still write. Maybe in UPSC level, you would have to write some good terminologies, geographical terminologies, and some relevant, precise stuff which makes somebody feel that okay, this person has not just the awareness about this particular terms, but knows its application and knows its utility. So that's how it will differentiate your answer quality to the person who's sitting next to you. The next question: the web of life is seamless and consequence of disruption to one part of the ecosystem ripple through the whole. Now this looks like a statement. So either you know the person who has given the statement, or you crack it from going through the keywords. Web of life. What does that mean? Now this is not a philosophical paper that you can write. So you have to write about ecosystems and various element of life, ecological uh, progression, evolution, and things like that. So you can, if you are choosing these questions, because you have to, again, you don't have to question answer all the section A question. You can have to choose only two question or three question from your total five questions from the eight question asked. Question fourth, section A, discuss the method of measuring the intensity and magnitude of earthquake. Now this is a very, very straightforward question. You know it, you write it. The impact of floods on life and property can be most effectively reduced by hazard mapping. This is a disaster management topic, and I'm sure if you don't read it here, you read it in the GS paper itself. How are ocean waves formed and distinguish between a wave oscillation and wave translation? And this is also a very straightforward question. So, without even going through the syllabus, I think most of you must have identified. Okay, I know many topics. I can actually write a couple of the questions. Now go to the section A of paper. I think this is section A of 2019 paper. Uh, what I can do is maybe the similar kind of approach will help you over here. You read them and you will come to know. Let's go to the section B part of it. Section B of paper one, again, it talks for question five. It says that a language originates at a particular place and diffuses to other locations through the migration of its speakers. So it's something about settlements and languages which we saw. It was there when we talk of the world space. Then define stunting and wasting. What are these more prevalent among children in developing countries? Now, this is something about nutrition. Again, it's a human geography element. Explain the relationship between net reproductive rate and true replacement level of population. Human geography. These are all terminology. The moment you know it, you will write it. There's nothing unknown about it. It's just that matter of reading and reproducing it. What are the natural regions and how are they different from planning regions? Human settlement. Discuss the genetic classification of boundaries suggested by Hartshorne. So now once you know the story of Hartshorne, you'll understand what kind of thought he runs in and you'll be able to crack the question. HDI has about a paradigm shift in the way people think. Human Development Index, HDI, agar aapko yaad ho, if you remember. So now it's a economic part of it, human economic geography. A large-scale global shift in manufacturing is the outcome of deindustrialization in the developed world, matched by industry. Now, this is something an essay type question, and you can And I'm sure people who would be reading newspaper daily would be able to gather some points right away. What do you mean by climate migrants? Suggest appropriate policies and programs for their resettlement. Now, if you, as though you would have seen the, you must be knowing, like in, if you know about India, that when it in winters when it snows in Himachal or high altitudes of J&K, the schools are closed. People walk back to a base area and they continue schooling over there. And when again, when it in the summers, when it opens, so they go back to their villages. So those are, some hints I'm trying to give. It's again, once you are aware of it, you will be able to crack it. What changes in current planning, management, and governance of human settlement are needed to face the changing environment? It's about environment, and I'm sure you must be reading a lot of papers, topics around it. You can write it. Globalization can often subsume folk culture. It's talking about globalization and folk culture. So I'm sure people who are reading about globalization in economy will also have a perspective of how humans are or local cultures are affected to it, and you may be able to write it. Growth is not uniform in different places. Growth pole theories. The moment you know about the theory, you will understand that even the theory states this statement. Why does it state it? So again, isotapanes and isotanes. Now again, terminology and Alfred Weber comes industrial location theory. So again, terminology. Do you know the terminology? You know the answer. Assess the challenges for countries with the largest shares of aged population. Now, population wise, this is GK kind of a question. Examine the relevance of a rimland theory. Again, a terminology and a theory. The process of geographer to become a scientist. So once you know them, you'll just write it. So what happens with this analysis, which I just took you through, that you realize that okay, moment I read the question paper, I know few terminologies. Now, if I take this 100 days course of geography, I am definitely able to write more because I've gone through a 100 days course of geography, and that helps me to know more. Then comes the paper two part of it. Paper two has a mapping question. Now, this is people who love traveling uh, can basically, when they love Atlas, and when you're a geographer, your first tool is Atlas. So you Atlas. So the best way to learn Indian geography is actually through maps. So what I generally do, or what I generally do in every class of mine, is basically uh, help you to uh, help you to have a skill of first make a map of India. So once you have the map of India in your mind and in your heart, you're this thing to serve the nation. And why do you want to become a civil servant becomes much clear. And now, have I taken a little more? Yeah, I think I have taken a little more ocean part of it. So this is, I took Bangladesh. This is a very India's chicken neck, and this is Andaman. Now this is the India, and when we start studying about Indian geography, every day whatever we learn, we put it in the map. So you have a revision sheet with you, which talks to you that boss, this is what I learned, and this is an Indian map, and that's how I know India. And once you know India, you are for Indian civil services, so you will be able to do a much better implementation, because now not just you know the name of a place, but you know where it exists, what kind of geography it exists, what kind of weather and climate is there, what should be their industry, what is the nearest water source, what kind of nearest airport, uh, railway line, highway. So one is to you memorize all this thing and you keep on, okay, NH5 goes like this, NH2 goes like this, and yeah, and NH2 and like that you memorize. Another is you keep on doing things in the map and make your subject more interesting. And when you actually recall something, it visualizes that your map only comes in front of you. So that's how you can crack the exam. In fact, your MCQs of general studies, when you see those confusing MCQs coming to you, can crack the right ones. So I'll just skip because paper two is all about India. People who have still the doubt, why do I go for question geographical optional? And I'll be very straightforward. Okay, 30 to 40 question comes from geography in prelims. So if you do the optional, your mains also gets your. If you do the optional thing in your GS, you get stronger. Your essay has 250 marks, and it has lot of approach where geography subjects or geographical approach or geographical knowledge can help you build an essay. It's an out and out, your knowledge over geography helps you. When you say the GS geography part, I told you that it covers the maximum around it, and it is easy to associate with all the other subjects. When it comes to economy, as I mentioned, technology, you're already bypassing things over here, so your cross referencing becomes easier. And let me tell you one thing, geographophobia is not a term which is still heard of, and let's make it remain unheard. And then when it comes to the list of topic, basically there's around 300 topics are there in the in the geography paper, and in optional around 211, and in total in GS geography, which is common, around 110 topics. And in main syllabus GS paper, we have 50% element of weightage where it comes from geographical topics. In paper 2, 20% contribution, and paper 3, 60%. They might be coming from different topics, but your geographical knowledge helps. So now this kind of gives you statistics why this is important, or this subject is important. So your clarity whether to take this optional or not uh, can be helpful around it. So to sum up, we are at the end of the class. My name is Abhilash, and I would be taking you through the journey of geography. So when that happens, let me tell you what have you learned today. If today had been your first class, the first thing that you learned, that you all have qualified 10th class, so you are aware of geography. Your liking or disliking is dependent on 4 5 qualities which I mentioned in the first. If you have it, then this option is suitable for you to learn it, to spend those 100 days learning about it. So if you spend those 100 days learning about it, then when I say 100 days, then around 2 to 2.5 hours one session is, and we may accordingly build up the plan. So it takes averagely 4 months to manage the entire geographical option with all these specialization. So what we learn is that uh, today if you liked it or disliked it, that I am not aware of, but I can definitely say that you learned geography from, you learned about some terminologies, you learned about your own experiences, how you can include them in geography. With this, I must say that your first class has started, and with the next class, we go step by step, decoding the geography much more in detail so that we know that we can recall things, we can mark the right answer when it comes to brilliance, and we can write a better answer to score more, and with a good content and good language skills or writing skills. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Take care.